Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Talent You Should Know, where we focus on the entertainment industry on a different level. Not only will there be artist and actor interviews of known and unknown talent, but insight into the team behind them that helps them build their brand. Each week, we'll tackle a different person in the industry with talents in their own rights. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Talent You Should Know with Zag. I am really excited today. So we have actress, writer, photographer, model, Jenelle Lynn Randall. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. So tell me something.
Yes.
How did you start? All the way from Jersey. How did you get into acting? Let's talk about that.
I think it started with just a bunch of classes. You know what I mean? Because your parents put you in classes because they don't know really what you can do. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I remember taking tap. I didn't like that. I remember taking piano. I hated that.
Really?
Yeah, I hated that. I remember taking acting classes. I took ballet. That was okay, but you know, that's a whole nother discipline. I remember taking art. I did like that.
Yeah.
I did like that. I liked the art. I remember, I think there might have even been a writing class for kids, something like that. But and I took lots of singing lessons. So singing is the God-given talent. And singing is where I first started. I didn't call myself an actor till about 5 years ago. Because I was afraid to call myself an actor because even though I went to school for acting, I focused on musical theater, which meant I focused on the music and I didn't focus on the acting. Yeah. Like straight plays and things like that. So I just always said I was a singer. And then I moved to LA and I was like, slowly started calling myself an actor. Yeah. And not feeling like I was a fraud.
Like you were saying you were an actor, but you really were something else.
Right. Or didn't have any credentials or didn't have anything to back it up or hadn't done anything, legit or whatever. So, yeah. But yeah, I grew up in New Jersey. So I went to Freedom Theater in Philly. And I was actually in class with Wanya Morris.
Can I tell you the crush? I loved Wanya since he was wearing turtlenecks and V-neck sweaters. Because he always, when he riffed.
Oh, he sang like this?
He sang.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
What you looking for?
He's looking for his girl. He was looking for me, but
them notes up there. Yeah.
Awesome.
He was doing that, and my mother was like, he had a crush on me. And I was like, because to me, I looked at him like a little brother. And so my mother was like, you need to befriend him because he's going to be huge. And I was like, those were her exact words. She was like, not befriend him because you're going to take from him, but like you're in the same class with him. Yeah. You need to figure out how to right,
because you guys can kind of
you got to figure out how to collaborate with this guy because this boy, because he's going places. He's talented. He's a star. He's this, he's that, he's whatever. And I was like, Wanya? And she was like, Ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Meanwhile, here I am on IG. Meanwhile. So,
you started off, your parents put you in everything, and you kind of identified as a singer. Now, that being said, right, I grew up in a family, everyone had to do a musical. That was just what you did. You were not going out without doing a musical, the one in church, and then all throughout high school, the winter musical and the spring musical. That's it, period. Don't ask me anything. So you saying, hey, I'm a singer, was that a, like you said, musical theater, or did you also want to do albums and tour and that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, I wanted to be a singer.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in the music business.
Yes.
And I had a lot of people who, I'm not even going to say who they said I sounded like, because it just sounds pretentious. But they were like, you're the next ... And I'm like, but I just didn't know the right people.
Right.
And I remember I had friends who were always taking me into like somebody's basement studio, trying to like, get that demo or get that.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think I liked the process. And two, I just, obviously that just wasn't where I was. I wasn't comfortable. I just wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
So musical theater was the thing, because now you're acting.
Yeah.
Now you're on stage. Now you're playing a character. That was totally different. And but I was in, if there was a musical to be had at school, I was in it. But it wasn't a book musical. It was always well, in elementary school it was always like the spring fling, or the whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And it was like a review, or whatever music was hot at the time, you sang that.
Oh, okay.
I remember us singing, it must have been the 80s, and I remember us singing We Are the World, and they gave me the Cyndi Lauper part.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. And so that was elementary, but that was probably close to like 7th, 8th, because we stayed in elementary a long time, and we didn't have a middle school, and I went right from elementary to high school.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was until 8th, 7th and 8th was in the elementary. And then once I got to high school, I went to a white Catholic high school. So they weren't doing the whiz.
No, oh no, they were doing them in my school, but I know they weren't doing it there.
They were doing the Music Man.
Oh, they did.
My Fair Lady.
Yeah, they did that too. And
I was chorus person. I was the brown chorus person, because it was only me and one other guy, and we were always the couple. Oh. And my junior year, I spoke, because I did Music Man, I did My Fair Lady, and I don't know if I asked about why come I can't get like a star role,
right?
Not the star, but like, a speaking role, and not be a townsperson. I don't know whether it was me or my mother, but they banned me from doing doing another show. So I didn't do a show during my junior and senior year.
Wow.
And I think it must have been me. And then my mother had to go up to the school and was like, what y'all not going to do. Like,
not play that.
Which I understand now, being an adult, why they didn't do the whiz. I guess I get that. Although half the cast is in a the Tin Man and the Lion, and they all
in makeup.
Right. So, but anyway, I'm not even going
That's
there.
Right.
So because they banned me and wouldn't put me in any more shows, they canceled me. That's what they did. They canceled me.
They canceled you in a Catholic high school?
They canceled me in a Catholic high school, honey. And I remember her name. I wonder if she's still living. My high school track coach was like, that's okay. You don't need her. You're going to sing the national anthem at all the games.
I did that too. Keep going.
And so every game, I don't care if it was lacrosse.
Yep.
Basketball, baseball, football, soccer. I don't care what it was. If there was a national anthem, I was there.
That's awesome.
And I started doing that, and they started calling me Hollywood.
That's right.
They started calling me Hollywood. And then, well, not to mention the fact that I was running track with sunglasses on.
I'm not doing this with you today.
I ran hurdles. I did 100, 200, I barely did the 400. That was too long for me. And I did long jump and high jump, and I did it with sunglasses on. And so my coach started calling me Hollywood. But yeah, he was the one. He was like, "You don't need that."
All right, Hollywood.
So that was that little brief story.
Well, what's funny is first two things. One, I want to go back and just say how powerful that We Are the World movement was. My parents had us out holding hands all across and you were part of millions holding hands across America. Come on, Michael. All right. And the other thing was the thing about the musical you said, I did that once because we finally had a Black musical, right? And I auditioned and they were like, what part do you want? And I said, and then like, if you don't get this part, what other part, right? And I said, I want this part. If I don't get it, I don't want to be in it. I didn't get it and I was not in it. I was not in it. And I was just like, you know, it is what it is. So tell me how, you know, doing the musical arts in high school and then singing, doing track, like what made you, what was the point when you were like, this is going to be my profession?
I honestly don't have like a point.
Okay.
I just remember music was just always around. Now I'm the only child, so I always had music. I mean, I would roller skate in the backyard on the pavement to DeBarge and, you know, I Like It and Diana Ross, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? I'm saying these, I'm actually remembering the names of these songs because I remember roller skating in a little box, you know, little concrete area in the backyard to these songs. There wasn't like one specific, but I think maybe I got the bug because I was actually on the Cosby Show as an extra. And maybe that was like the thing that made me go, I can do this. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I do remember being very excited about that whole process. And, you know, at that time we were living in South Jersey. So driving in New York, it wasn't a long drive, but it was long enough, you know. Yeah. So it wasn't an everyday thing. Because it's over an hour to get from South Jersey to New York. So it wasn't an everyday thing. But yeah, and then in college, I felt like, okay, well, if I got to be here, then I'll be here. But I think I was doing like runway modeling and stuff like that. And, you know, of course, any of the musicals that came through the college, I did that. And then I just decided once I graduated, I was going to start auditioning for professional theater.
Yeah.
And did that and just hit the ground running.
Right.
So, and one of the things I have to say is that no one ever told me no. No one ever said, you might want to be a chemist.
Yeah.
No one ever, you know, no one said, you might want to be a first grade teacher.
Right.
Nobody ever. I was like, okay, I'm just going to ride it until, you know.
Wheels fall off.
Yeah, and I think I had a lot of confidence.
And
I don't think I was that good, but I think I had a lot of confidence.
But you need that. You know what I mean? Because I think personally that you are extremely talented, and people who are talented, even the things that are, I don't call them weaknesses, but opportunities for improvement, right? Even things like that are barely recognizable because you are so brilliant in like your craft, right? And I think, you know, and people might say, oh, well, you could do this better, you could do that better, but it is not it's not seen as a deficit in you. It's just oh, well, here's like a little notch you can do. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I get from you, especially when I look at your reels or I look at your IG or I listen to the voiceovers. I love the fact that I never question what it is you're supposed to do. Like, this shit ain't a hobby. It's not, something that you thought would, be fun to do. You know what I mean? This is
Not a side hustle.
Yeah, this is what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And so when you see that, I think everything else, you're just kind of like, they said what? Like I'm ready to fight if anyone says, anything other than you're amazing. But that's just me.
Thank you.
So I want to kind of go on to, I know you said that at one point you'd never heard the word no, right? And I want to take that apart a little bit as far as you transitioning into the professional world, and kind of what you need to have to adapt to that, as an actress or an actor, because sometimes you can't act through the tears when someone's like, next, you know what I mean? But what have you been able to do, or techniques you've developed over the years?
I wish I had, one thing I do wish is that I had more discipline.
Okay.
And I do wish I had more, what is it when they say consistency?
Okay.
And maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. What's the word I'm looking for? When people do something, it'll come to me later, but maybe discipline is the word. Going to the gym every day at 8:00, rain or shine, not being like,
That's
my stomach hurts.
Consistency, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I just kind of relied on natural ability instead of really, being Beyonce focused and
studying,
unwavering. And I just really thought I was naturally talented, and I don't think I thought I needed anything else.
Right.
And so that mindset, no one checked me on that. And if someone had checked me on that, and no one can give me discipline. That's something I have to have on my own. I get that. But I wish someone had checked me on it a little bit, because my work ethic is great, but in terms of the downtime, when you're not in a show, when you're getting ready for the next thing, you got to keep that. This whole last year, I haven't worked out. And I know it was different because it was a pandemic, but let's say it wasn't a pandemic.
Right.
Right now I'm like, okay, now I've got to go back and start taking dance classes, and I got to go back to the gym, and I got to get ready because Broadway is going to open again. And I need to be ready when it does. I wish I had the discipline to stay in the gym or to stay whatever during the downtime.
Right.
Again, I know there was a pandemic and people were, we were just doing the best we could do to survive. So I'm not, I totally understand that. And this is not a diss to anybody else. This is what I should have been doing. So, but to answer your question, I'm trying to think. I went to school. I lived in Japan for a while, and then I moved to LA for 5 years and I could not get arrested. And then I moved to New York for about 10 years, 8 years.
Oh, go ahead.
So I think I just thought that, someone's going to discover me.
Right. Like Tyson in the discovered in the village and became a Superman.
But not necessarily in an unassuming place like the Starbucks. I just thought if I put myself at the right place at the right time and I open my mouth to sing, or someone hears me or someone sees me, someone's going to say, oh, she's cute.
Yeah.
I'm not for nothing. Cute gets you far. Because, and I say that not because I think I'm cute. I say that because I've seen how people treat me when I have a little bit of makeup on. And when Can we address that? When I go to the grocery store and I ain't got no beat on, I'm just going over there to get some eggs. But when I'm coming from church, when we used to go to church, I'm coming from church on a Sunday afternoon, I'm going in there to pick up some cream for my coffee, and I got on a full beat and the hair and the whole thing. And then it's like, and sometimes I'm like, wow, people really do respond to you differently.
Yeah.
According to, that's a whole nother conversation. But so I'm gonna get back to my point. Damn, I lost my whole point. I done got long-winded and forgot my own point.
When you were saying you were just going off of, your talent and
Yes, I was just going off natural ability.
Yeah.
And natural talent. And I just thought thank you. I just thought someone was going to just discover me. I mean, I would go to concerts, and by the grace of God, let me just say that I would go to concerts and I would always end up backstage, and someone would always be like, oh, and I'm thinking, all I got to do is sing. All I got to do is sing. All this person get. And listen, I've been in some hotel rooms that I shouldn't have been in. Because I
we
thought
talk about
all I had to do was
that could have changed my life, that I walked out of, that I'm glad I got out of. There were
I'm
times.
not gonna tell you the band. Not even gonna tell you the band, but I remember being in this hotel room and I was like, all I gotta do is sing. Don't you want to hear me sing? And I know that brother was like, no, I don't want to hear you sing.
Right.
And by the grace of God, I got out. I mean, he didn't try anything.
Yeah.
He tried, but he didn't try. He didn't force himself on me. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go now because I've already sang Mary Had a Little Lamb for you, and that's all I got. So I'm gonna go on back to the house.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's interesting. I love how, just touching on what you said before about, makeup and how people recognize you when you have on a mask, but always want you to be your authentic self, right? See what I'm saying? Like they don't pay attention to you until there's something covering up
right.
You.
Right.
So how did you get to Japan? I know this. I want everyone to know. I want to know the story.
The quick story is I was doing a show in Richmond, Virginia. I was doing a show called Beehive, the musical. I had an understudy. We were the same height, same color, same look, everything. She was a little bit younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
She had already had this gig in the bag. That was going to be her next gig, but she was getting married. And one day I remember in the dressing room, she said, I got this gig in Japan and I don't even want it. She was like, I'm going to go get married and you don't have to do anything. I've already talked to them about you. And all you got to do is get your passport. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to pay for your ticket over there. Your hotel is paid for. Everything is paid for. All you have to do is pay for your passport. At that time it was $110. And I was like, that's a lot of money. And I at the time I was living in Virginia. So to go to DC, I went to DC. I remember driving to DC, went into the whatever that department was and put in my passport papers and the photos and all the stuff. Got my expedited passport back.
Wow.
And it was supposed to be a musical review on ice. We were ice skaters.
Could you ice skate?
Somebody asked me, do you know how to ice skate? I said, yeah, I know how to ice skate.
Listen, fake it till you make it. You can practice. Practice.
So we were in Miami, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 10 days, maybe 3 weeks. We're in a hotel rehearsing on this plastic ice. It almost looks like puzzle pieces. You fit them together.
Okay.
And they spray the silicone on it, and then you skate on it. And we went to Japan. It was supposed to be for 6 months. That gig was over. The show was 50 minutes every day. That's all we had to do.
Wow.
There was no rehearsal. There was nothing to do except for that show every night, 8:00, 8:50. And then I would go into a little piano bar and sing 3 songs for 15 minutes. That was my only responsibility. I sang 3 songs in the jazz thing, but 3 songs in the show. I think I sang, I'm So Excited. I sang conga with the thing.
Wow.
Bananas.
Wait, on ice?
On ice.
Girl.
And there was a ballad or something I think I sang. Maybe those were only 2 songs. Anyway, and then the 15-minute show, it was only me. It was just me and the piano player, 3 songs of my choice, 3 jazz songs. And that was the most fun because it was, I put on a gown and a wig and just sang to the people. And they were up north in Japan. So the people would come for the weekend to this resort, and then they'd be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then they'd leave. And then another group would come. So it was constantly new people at this resort. And we were 3 hours from Tokyo. Wow. And I only saw Tokyo once. We got off early enough for us to take what they call the bullet train.
Yeah.
And we took that, we had to time it out. We got out of the show, the car was waiting, we got in the car, went to the bullet train, and we got to Tokyo just in time for the ball drop. And so that show was over. That was supposed to be 6 months. The producers liked me and asked me, would I stay in Tokyo, move to Tokyo, and sing jazz wherever they booked me. Wherever they booked me, that's where and so I was like, all right, fine.
Right.
And they got me an apartment. They furnished the apartment.
Wow.
And all I had to do was pay. They got me a cell phone. I had to pay for my calls, but they got me the phone. And so, the calls were limited because this was 1998.
Minutes.
So
these are minutes.
The minutes were no joke. And I think they got me a gym membership because I wanted to take dance classes.
Wow. So
everything else they paid for.
How long did you wind up staying?
2 years.
That must have been amazing. Why did you leave?
Because at that time I thought, oh, someone's going to see me. They're going to hear me. And, Mariah Carey's big over here. They love her. So they're going to love me. And I'm going to sing Mariah Carey songs. And then somebody's going to see me. And then I'm going to make it big. And I'm going to have an album. And then when that didn't happen, I got my little heart broke. Plus 2 years for me at that time was long enough. And I was like, okay, I kind of been there, done that. And I started getting nervous that what if something happened to my parents and I was too far away. And at that time, they weren't older, they were normal age of parents. Yeah. But I just had this fear of I guess what it was the fear of missing out. I was missing out on stuff back in the States. And so I think in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to go to LA. I think I'll be famous in LA.
Right.
I tried Japan. I tried it.
Yeah.
LA.
And I think you probably went to LA better off than some people because there you hear these dreams, right? You hear these stories. I went to LA with $300 in my pocket. Maybe it's Taraji P. Henson or someone else. And they're like, and I, started.
I used to work with Taraji too, right?
Really? I did not.
On the Spirit of Washington. We used to sing in a musical review show as singing waiters.
Wow. And go ahead.
Legit. Like I worked with her, the same crew. It wasn't like she was a year. It wasn't like, she was in 98 and I was in 97. No, at the same time on the same cruise, I worked with her.
Wow. You hear these people, they're coming to LA, right? And they say the stories of I had only, $10 in my pocket and, now they're these big millionaires. And I think that people see that and they're like, this is going to happen to me. I'll do the same thing. And you don't hear the stories about when people do that and it doesn't work out. You hear about struggling actors, but you don't hear about some people who risked it all, right? And I think the good thing about what with you is that you had a good start in New York. You had a nice, it fleshed out in Japan, and then you came to Hollywood. And what was different about Hollywood from Japan and from New York?
So I went from Japan to LA to New York back to LA.
Oh, okay. So
there wasn't really much difference because I didn't know anybody in any of those cities.
Wow. I
didn't know nobody in Japan. I knew one person in LA. And when I got there, she said, that's funny you got here because I'm leaving. And she said, I'm gonna get married. I'm buying a house. I'm moving back to Philly. And she was my manager at the time when I was in Philly and going to school. And she was she was a big sister in my church, but she was managing me. She was making sure I was at all the concerts and just anywhere that anybody could see me.
Yeah. And
we tried to have a 3-girl group. It didn't work. We tried to have a 3-girl group. Anyway, the point is that she's the person that I knew, and she hated LA. And she was like, I'm getting married and I'm moving back to Philly. So you got to find another apartment because this one, I knew that one was out of my range. So I knew I had to move.
Right.
So I knew one person, but that person left. So in all intents and purposes, I had to figure it out. I didn't know anybody. And that didn't bother me. When I stepped off the plane in LA, I was like, yeah, this is home.
Wow.
That first hour day, whatever, I rented a car and just drove up the 101 as far as I could go until I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back now. I just was driving. I was
That's
like,
awesome though.
it was crazy how much I loved LA. I love LA. I absolutely love LA.
Yeah.
I'm not moving from LA.
And so
I
what
could have houses other places, but I love LA. Go ahead.
and so your career in LA.
I couldn't get arrested. I didn't know anybody. And I don't know if I told you this before, but I was dancing on Soul Train.
You did I'm trying to find the clip. You wait, did you
Look, I got plenty of them on VHS.
I think you sent one to a certain group. Did you?
There was I know I didn't send a video. I sent a pic. I think I might have sent a picture.
Yes.
Because not Sabian, was it Afion? Him and I were friends. He and I were friends. And we used to be trying to like come up and like get seen or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was the hip hop dancer. And he had a girl who I don't think they were dating. I think they were just really best friends. But she was real hard hip hop dancer too. And but he was like, you know, always in the line and always, you know, getting the camera time, whatever. And they called the risers, like way up, way up above. You know, they had platforms like that. Mm-hmm. And I was always up here and I would do my thing. And then I moved from up here to like more eye level. And then I moved down to the floor, which is like coveted. And then it was from the floor to being on the stage with the artists.
Right.
I was dancing behind Master P and who sings girl, you look good with your back that thing up.
Oh, Mystical?
The CMB brothers or whoever that was, all of them. I sang behind Eric Benet, all of them. And I actually went on tour with Master P, dancing with him because I wasn't trying to be like cute and pretty. Like I wasn't trying to be a video vixen. Yeah. I was really dancing.
Yeah.
So I was like combat boots and like, you know.
Right, like Fly Girls.
That's it. That's what I wanted to do. I wasn't trying to be cute. I was trying to be a fly girl, like, you know, real dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I stopped doing that. I met a girl and we became real good friends. And we were every Saturday we were doing it, you know, figuring out what we're going to wear. Yeah. And she was like, I'm going to go get married. And, you know, God told me that I shouldn't be doing this show no more because I'm not going to find a husband on this show. And I was like, yeah, you know, I should probably quit too. Yeah. And then this one Saturday, I was like, I'm going to just go up there. I'm just going to see what they're doing. Right. So I went up there, wasn't even dressed, went and sat in the audience. And the guy, his name is Eric, the guy that used to like wrangle all the women, all the girls, all the dancers. He was like, I'm not going to tell you what my name was, my nickname. He was like, hey, what you doing? You're not dressed. I was like, oh, no, I'm not dancing today. He was like, yeah, you are. I was like, no, I don't even have any clothes. He was like, oh, you better find some clothes from somewhere because you're going to start the Soul Train line. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
And so I don't know where I went. I found a dress. I found some makeup. I found some heels. I started that Soul Train line. I got 2 feet down that line. My top came down. And I finished the line and Don was standing there and Don was like, he was like, yeah, that was hot, whatever. I was like, no, Don, you gotta go back. You gotta air that out or you gotta edit that out.
Yeah.
He was like, what happened? And I was like, my top came down. And he was like, I didn't even see that. They replayed it in slow motion. And at that time, Shamar Moore was the host. He thought it was funny. He was like, don't worry about it. I was like, no, you don't understand. That's embarrassing.
It is.
It's not only embarrassing, it's degrading. Because that wasn't a plan. That wasn't a ploy. I wasn't doing a Janet Jackson move.
So why would here's my thing, right? Why would they say, okay, you just said my top came down, I need you to stop it, right? I need you to put it, and then replay it. That's the part that like kind of bothers me. They replayed it
in slow motion.
What?
And I think it was to see if anything had shown. Like if it was a little bit of flesh, that wouldn't have been a big deal, but they wanted to make sure it wasn't showing. So they wanted us in slow motion to see, and I had lived through that. And I said, you know what, God, you got me. You told me not to go. You my friend tried to tell me not to go. I heard you and I didn't do it. And from that day on, I was mortified and I put my clothes back on. And Shamar, I was like, you don't have to worry about ever seeing me again, ever.
And that's the part the entertainment business is a fickle beast. You know what I mean? And women in this industry, it's interesting because even those who are sexualized have to be smart. It is not like you are sexualized and you're it's like if you're going to be successful, they're using it to their advantage because they've seen what happens when you don't. And that's you know what I mean? That's the upsetting part about it. And then you have women who aren't doing that, right? And people are still trying to push them in that direction as well. And it's like, you don't see that with men.
Nah.
You know what I mean? And that's
a dude that walked in and said, no, I'm not going to damn good, dude. I'm not going to dance today. They'd be like, all right.
Right.
And he knew what to say because he knew I had been waiting to open up the Soul Train line. He knew that was a coveted spot and he had never given it to me before. He got very close, like I was always in the line.
Yeah.
And so you figure out that if you're number 5, the odds of you being, because they're going to cut it to go to commercial. The odds are, you're seeing it in real time, but when they edit it, you're probably going to be edited out. So when I went from 5 to 4 and 4 to 3, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in the line. And then to go from starting the line, that was like, and he knew what to say to get me to, and I moved heaven and earth to find a dress and some makeup and some heels. My hair was popping that day, and I remember scrambling in the bathroom to scrunch up my hair to make it look all, because I was wearing it curly and big. And child, I won't ever forget that. How could you? I won't ever forget that.
And so what did that change as far, like what happened after that? Did that start something else for you?
Well, no, because I just thought, I only need one person to see me. I only need to be in the right place at the right time, which is why I used to dance for Master P. Because I thought all I need is one person to see me. But I clearly I wasn't in that world.
Yeah.
I was different. They were like, oh yeah, she's, I wasn't smoking. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't telling dirty jokes. I wasn't trying to be a video vixen, and I wasn't trying to sleep with anybody.
Yeah.
It's just, that's just the truth. So I kind of was like, it was a very short-lived tour for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't fit into that world, and being on the bus with them, it was hard.
Yeah,
it was hard. But for me, to your question, nothing ever panned out. Nothing. Right. It was just that thing, and then it was another thing. I did a Heineken commercial as an extra, and it was all these what I thought were stepping stones.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, I just need the right person to see me. Oh, I just need the director of this Heineken commercial to say, oh, she's cute. Let me put her in the, let me put her in the front. And that's very the green way of thinking. And that works for somebody.
Right.
I don't want to poo-poo someone's, positive thoughts because maybe my vibration wasn't high enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it never worked. And so I did this show that was supposed to go to Broadway. We went out of town to Denver to try it out at the Performing Arts Center, and the critics tore it apart. So when we got back home to LA, obviously we weren't going to Broadway. It was dead in the mud. Yeah. And so I said to my friend, what do I do now? What do we do now? He was like, with your voice, you need to live in New York. And I was like, I hate New York. Yeah. I'm not a New Yorker. I have an East Coast mentality, but I'm not a city person. And I was afraid that the city was going to eat me alive. And quiet as it's kept, it did. I held my own and I figured it out, but that city broke my heart.
Yeah.
The business and that city broke my heart. But the first year I got there, I was doing Off Broadway. And I'm not saying off Broadway. I'm talking about Off Broadway. I was one step away from Broadway in the first year. And in like the year and a half, Not even 2 years later, I was on Broadway. And then that show lasted as long as it did, not even a year. And the critics were just like, it's stupid, it's silly, it's whatever. And so we had our closing notice soon after that. And then after that, I was doing a lot of auditions, and I felt like I was going to a lot of auditions, but I wasn't chosen.
Yeah.
I wasn't the one that it was always between me and one other person. And it felt like that other person was always winning. And after years of that, it was too much.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to end up a lonely cat lady in an apartment and somebody finds my dead body 3 weeks later.
Right. In the village.
So I said, I've got to go back to LA. I have to go back to LA.
I think it's, there's something to be said about, even if no one is there, that your surroundings. And I've said this before, living in Denver is extremely difficult for me right now because I don't want to be there. And I'm extremely depressed there. And someone tried to kill me there. And I stay there because my son has 1 year left in high school. And so I do these things where I take trips different places. And what's interesting is I love North Carolina because the sun shines differently over there. And people don't realize that the sun shines differently in different places. And I think that that's literally and figuratively, right? Whether that's inside of you or,
There's something about the energy of North Carolina that you like.
Yeah.
Just like there's something about the energy of the West Coast. And it doesn't have to be LA. It can be anywhere in California.
Yeah.
For me.
So you've had all of these moments, and they've been good, and they've been hard, and they've been bad, and they've been surreal, right?
All the things.
And I love your comedic spots. I think, we talked about how that was really what you love to do, and your voiceover work, and you even did some writing, right? And so from all of that, what do you want now? Right? Do you want to write? Do you want to, pursue the singing again? Like, what is this time now for you?
1, I want to be back on Broadway.
Okay.
2, I want to be a series regular on a multi-camera sitcom. That's the goal. That's the holy grail. Multi-camera sitcom.
Right.
But of course, I'm not going to poo-poo a drama. I mean, if I'm playing a high-powered lawyer, I'm not going to say no to that. So, I like to be specific when I say a multi-camera sitcom, but I also like to say, okay, universe, God,
right.
Jesus, series regular in any show is fine with me. I have a lot of ideas on shows that I'd like to create, but I don't know that I want to be the writer. I don't think I have the discipline to write.
Okay.
Writers write every day. I haven't written since last year. That's a discipline. And writers like to write, and writers can't go a day without writing.
Yeah.
I write when someone tells me to write. Like, there's something specific. There's an end goal, and but I don't just write to write. And writers write every day.
Yeah.
Am I, do I have the facility? Do I have a little bit of talent in that area? Yeah, I do. I think I have cranked out a few pilots. I've even been asked to do something professionally. So I know I do have the talent. I don't have the discipline. And I would love to be in a writer's room as a fly on the wall to see what they really do.
Yeah.
But writers write all day. They're constantly writing is rewriting.
Yeah.
Writing is rewriting. And I don't think I have the tough enough skin for a director or producers or a network to, for 3 weeks to tear my script apart and say, we don't like it, rewrite it. I don't think I have the skin for that. It's
interesting because I'm doing script coverage right now. Like, I have 3 scripts that I'm reading, and I've read them before. I've read others before, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Why is this here? Mm-hmm. This is not part of your character's character, da 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 da. And these things now have to be rewritten because of what I saw on the outside, right? Mind you, this person, I don't know how long it took them to write this.
Right.
But I read this in a night. And these are the things that I saw. And it wasn't, this is bad. It's maybe the person was,
tweaking.
Right. Yeah. And it's like they were so close to it, they didn't see the things that I saw. Right. But it takes, like you said, such strength to say, not and say, okay, I need to rewrite this versus this bitch don't know what she's talking about.
And not taking it personally that, I'm a bad writer, as opposed to, no, this is what's going to help you make this script even better.
Right.
I mean, I know that fundamentally, but I took 3 writing classes last year, one of which was a drama with the guy who writes for Black Lightning, if that's even still on. And he was very good.
Yeah.
And it was a sitcom that I had written for myself, a single cam sitcom. Yeah. And he was throwing all these things out. And then I realized this is not where I wanted it to go. Yeah. But then I started putting things in this script to sell it. Oh, I've got to make her, I'm making this up. Oh, I got to make her, a cursor. She got to be cuss words all the time. Or I got to make her, for the funny. I was always thinking about what is going to make this funny. What is a network going to like? A network going to like her if she's, I don't know, doesn't take a shower for a week, whatever it was, if that's not what I wanted. And I found myself writing this just to complete the class, but I wasn't happy with it at the end. And so I left it. I haven't picked it up since. But I know the concept is great. Yeah. Because no one has done it. Yeah. So I know that there's something there. I just don't have the fortitude. And I wish I could
collaborate with a writer. That's, there are a bunch of those people out there who would,
but you got to find the right writing partner.
Yeah.
So I would love that. Okay, guy, I would love that if I could find the right writing partner and we start cranking out scripts and start, filming it and getting it picked up and because everything is new content at some point. Everything is new content. So, I'm open to that. But there's one specific drama that I would love to have, especially now that Queen Sugar is going off. Mm-hmm. There's a family drama that I had started writing, but then I thought, I don't know, maybe this premise isn't deep enough. Does she have to get hit by a car? Or do I have to?
Don't doubt yourself. That's right. You know what I do when I write? I close my eyes and I write from my heart. Whenever I write, there is not a time that I write. I will start off looking at the screen and then I close my eyes and I have 3 pages done. Close your eyes and don't think about it. Just do it.
I wrote a pilot. It's funny because the thing that brought me to LA was the fact that I had entered a bunch of contests. When I knew I wanted to leave New York, I had entered a couple of contests and entered this pilot. And I think I won one and then I got close. I got like second with another. And I was like, I'm a writer.
Right.
So I came to LA for my birthday, which was in October, and I started pitching it to people. And this was when, I used to pitch people over Facebook. So I was like, I'm going to meet Isaiah Washington. He's going to be the lead of my show. So I pitched him over Facebook. I was like, I got this script. I think you'd be great for it. And he was like, all right, send it to my agent. I did that. And then I came out here and I was like to LA and I was like, I'm going to meet Isaiah Washington.
Right.
So, he was at the same hotel I was at my birthday party.
Woo! I love Isaiah Washington.
And so I was like, I'm the one that's been pitching you over Facebook. He was like, oh, that's you. And da. So I said that to say that I had people attached and I was not afraid to cold call people. Yeah. I remember calling Will Smith's company. I called Oprah's company. I called anybody that could get me on the phone. And everybody said, oh, nobody wants to see a show about religion. And I said, but it's not about religion. You know what the show was, but wasn't at the same time? Because I don't want to. I'm not suggesting anybody watching that. I'm not suggesting that someone stole this from me, but the show was Greenleaf. It was a show about a Black family that owns a mega church. And I had written that back in 2005.
See,
and I say that to say that I knew I had a good idea, but I kept pitching it to people, and they kept saying, "But nobody wants to see a show about religion." And I kept saying, "But it's not about religion. It's about this family."
Yeah.
And how they have these deals, because I had said it in DC, and it was about backdoor deals and the politics of religion,
yeah,
the politics of the church.
Yeah.
It wasn't about preaching to anybody. Or matter of fact, I didn't write even one preachy scene. It wasn't about him in the pulpit. It was about the deals and the politics of the church.
They weren't ready for it.
And everybody said, nobody wants to see a show about religion. And that was my tagline, The Gates of Wrath. It's not about religion. And the next thing I knew, my best friend was like, there's a show called Greenleaf coming. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I stopped from that minute on. I stopped writing because I was like, see, because I knew I had a good idea, but I didn't know how to get it anywhere. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know who to pitch it to, and nobody was. I didn't have the connection.
Do you know now? Do you know now? And these are the things I think. This is the part where people who are so passionate about what they do are almost, they're so passionate that it's personal, right?
Yes.
So then, because I do that same thing when I'm hitting people up on the DM, I'm like, why would they want to talk to me? Why would they, answer these questions and this, that? Even though I know that, the show is good, even though I know that this is what my purpose is, right? We're doubting ourselves because we're overthinking, because we think of every scenario. But you have the tools and you know the people and you own the talent, right? And so now it's just for you to step into the time that is now for you. That's all I'm saying.
The fear is, and I'll be brutally honest, the fear is that I'm going to do a whole bunch of work and it's going to go nowhere like it did before. That's the fear. The fear is that I'm going to get up every morning at 5 o'clock and I'm going to work out, and I'm going to, from 5 to 6, and then from 6 to 7, I'm going to write, and then I'm going to produce this script, and then I'm going to have this thing, and it's going to go nowhere. That's the fear.
What do they say? Fear is a thief of joy. But would it make you happy? Would it make you fulfilled? Would it be an addition to your purpose every day doing that? Because the thing is when you set those wheels in motion, it puts together other pieces that you don't even know are waiting.
We're not doing this today.
I'm just telling you.
I know what you're saying. And I know that you can't get anything done unless you do it. It's just that simple. And I heard myself when I said it a few minutes ago that I'm afraid that if I do it, it's not going to go anywhere. Well, it's definitely not going to go anywhere if I don't do it. Like I already heard myself answer myself. So I already know. You ain't got to tell me. I already know.
Yeah.
But I think, but there's something, I feel like I'm always starting a project and then it does well for other people, but it never goes well for me.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. And so sometimes I get the life sucked out of me when I'm doing these new projects and I'm executive producing and I'm writing and I'm directing and I'm starring and I'm doing the lighting and I'm doing the craft service and I'm doing all the things. And it feels like there's no payoff for me. That's what it feels like. I'm just being honest.
No, and I get that. I was talking the other day. I said, do you know how many businesses I've started for other people? How much money I've made for other people? Just using this and not thinking about myself. And now I'm doing this for me, and it's scary, and I'm not making any money off of it, but I love it. And I'm like, okay, I see every one supporter I get every, week, or Wanye reposting a story that I did. You know what I mean? Or SWV, reposting a story. Those things, I'm like, oh my gosh, but those are the little pieces. And I'm like, okay, just keep going. Tomorrow, do another post, do a behind the scenes. And it's like, I don't know where this is going, but I know that it's in the right direction. And I think that's the same for you. Like once you keep starting and doing it, it'll just pick up. Because I know I pray for you every day. So, every day.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
So.
Wow.
But I want you to tell people where they can find you, where they can hear your voice, see your face.
I am on the Instagram. I'm on Instagram at Jenelle L. Randall. That's my agent. No, I'm kidding. I am on Twitter, but I don't tweet.
Okay.
I think it's the same at Jenelle L. Randall. I am not on TikTok. I haven't. I'm still trying to learn Instagram. I'm not on the TikTok yet. I am on Facebook, but I'm trying to weed down Facebook to people I legitimately know.
I have 10 friends.
I don't know if that's serving me, but because I was afraid that someone was going to hack. So I was really trying to dwindle down for Facebook only being people that I legitimately know. Like I remember doing a show with this person. I remember going to dinner with this, but like legitimately know.
Yeah.
I do have a Facebook fan page, but I haven't posted in a million years because I haven't, quote, done anything.
Right.
But I am going to start to now because I've been reposting some projects and stuff like that just to kind of not revitalize. What's the word I'm looking for? To try to, keep fresh.
Got it.
Yeah. So, but Instagram is the biggest one. That's the one I really want to blow up with followers.
Okay. Well, it will.
Yeah.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being on, for being super honest, for listening to me, for almost leaving, but deciding not to and coming back. Okay? Because I might just keep the palm in that you put on me. But I love this conversation. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, I always feel honored when somebody wants to sit down and talk to me and figure out like the real person.
Yeah.
I love that. So I love interviews. Oh, I feel like it's so easy to misinterpret somebody or so easy to misunderstand somebody. And I think that's one of my biggest fears. I always say, oh, when I get famous, I hope I don't say the wrong thing and then people don't like me because they misinterpreted what I said.
Yeah.
You don't have those people. But I think I just like interviews because you're able to, I'm very direct and I say what I mean. And so you will always get the truth.
Yeah.
Whoever interviews me will always get the truth.
Yeah.
If you hear from me. So
let's talk about it. And just let's do a side note. Everybody, can you go to her Instagram? Your photos and your clips, first of all, absolutely beautiful. But I also love the clips that you've been putting up too. But oh my gosh, I love it when you're doing like your read days. Those are amazing.
It's funny because I feel weird. I'm like, oh, are you bragging about having a self-tape? And I'm like, well, maybe, but if I don't post, then I'm not going to get a new follower. And I even hate saying a new follower because that sounds so pretentious too. Yeah. But I mean, what are we doing this for? I mean, we are doing, I don't care whether you're at home sewing towels for a living. Clearly you want a follower because at some point you're going to want to sell those towels. So I don't, everybody wants a follower. So I just need to get rid of that thought. But I always feel weird about, self-tapes. One, because you always see the blue background and it gets to be redundant. But also I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes it feels weird. And so, but then sometimes I'm like, oh, my lighting is good today. I'll take
your lighting is good. I don't know if you're doing that yourself. Thank you so much for coming on my show. And everyone, just make sure to follow. I will have all her information down below. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Talent You Should Know. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well as leave a review. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.